This short video will take you through some of the fundamental concepts that we're going to be exploring in technical writing for university. But before we get started, it's time for you to introduce yourself. So if you haven't already, please go to Moodle and post a 100-word introduction. There's a forum in the communication block. So write your name and, if appropriate, your preferred name, a little bit about yourself and why you enrolled in TWU, and then answer the questions that are on there about the last substantive thing that you wrote. So when did you write it? For whom did you write it? Why did you write it? Did you achieve your purpose, and why or why not? Now, we are going to be spending a little bit of time on Moodle, so it's very handy to get to know who we're talking to. So if you have a blank head and shoulders as your profile picture, go in and update it with a picture of yourself, or if you'd prefer not to have a picture of yourself, something that represents you. It could be a puppy dog, a flower, whatever you think is appropriate, as long as it's not offensive. So to update it, you just go to Settings, My Profile Settings, Edit My Profile, and then in the Use a Picture section, choose a picture and update your profile. Okay. So technical writing, this is a course about communication, obviously, but before we get into some of the details, let's just think about what that means. So what is good communication? Just spend a minute thinking about that. You can pause the video if you like and write down some ideas. Some people say it's something like this. So you have a sender, they have a message that they're trying to convey to someone, they convey that message and the receiver receives it. Now in casual conversation, they would give feedback to the sender. In writing, it tends to be a little slower and a lot less direct, but nevertheless, you still have that same model. So that's one way of looking at it. So what is good writing then? Here's some writing. Is this good writing? So think about what good writing is. Now, if we take that a little step further, what's good technical writing? So you might have some ideas about what that means. Could be some of the things that are on the screen there. So it's about conveying information, about being clear and concise and having all of those things. That's great. Well, we think good technical writing has 5 main features. So it's clear. So you might have headings and subheadings, short sentences, very direct, says exactly what it means. It's concise, so there's no flowery language, no excessive adjectives describing things, no colloquial expressions, no redundancy, no weasel words. It's correct, so the facts and figures are correct, but also the spelling, grammar and punctuation, they're also correct. It's consistent, so consistent in its use of terminology, standard use of terminology to describe measurements and so on. And then finally, collegial. Now normally we would say something like referencing, so you refer to others, but we had 4 C's and we wanted something else to start with C, so we said collegial. But basically that means referencing. Alright, so here's an example. So what is time? The creative writer says, time is a river flowing from nowhere through which everything and everyone move forward to meet their fate. Ah, isn't that lovely? Whereas the technical writer says, time is a convention of measurement based on the microwave spectral line emitted by cesium atoms with an atomic weight of 133 and an integral frequency of 9,192,631,770 Hz. Okay, so very clear, concise, correct. Now, let's have a look at a case study here. So we've got the Challenger disaster, and this is an example of when communication fails. The crew of 7 chosen for the Challenger mission in 1986 attracted extra media coverage because the team included a female civilian, a schoolteacher, Christine McAuliffe. NASA had arranged for the children in many US public schools to view the launch live, hoping that a schoolteacher would be able to describe the happenings in terms children could easily understand. The rest of the crew included another woman and 5 men. The Challenger had 2 solid rocket boosters made up of a number of sections joined by 2 different types of joints, and one lot of joints relied on rubber O-rings to seal them. I like the one that's on the screen. These rings were supposed to seal even tighter with the heat and force of ignition, but in trials there were problems caused by the O-rings actually opening a little instead of closing tighter. In effect, this caused a momentary drop in air pressure, making it possible for combustion gases to escape and for a flame path to develop. The contractor responsible for producing these joints was trying to redesign them, but time was running out for the mission to be launched. Consequently, the problem was classified as an acceptable flight risk, meaning that the flight could go ahead. But concerns were expressed by some engineers working on the shuttle, and they sent a detailed, technically worded memo regarding their concerns to their managers. Much of the engineers' concerns revolved around the effect of very cold temperatures on the O-rings. Unfortunately, the language used in the memo was not clearly understood by the managers, and they seemed unaware of how critical the problem was. So after several delays, the Challenger blasted off on January 28, despite the temperatures on that day being lower than any other previous launch. And at 11:38 that morning, the shuttle shot skywards, and for 73 seconds, all seemed normal. Then an intense and well-defined plume of smoke appeared on the right-hand side. At this stage, Commander Dick Scobie's voice was heard saying, "Roger, go at throttle up," indicating that the crew had no idea that there was a problem. The plume suddenly changed shape and part of the solid rocket booster pulled off. Within seconds, the breakup was complete and all on board had perished. Afterwards, a special commission to investigate the cause of the Space Shuttle Challenger accident was appointed by President Reagan, and the commission not only found fault with the failed sealant ring, but also with the officials at NASA, who allowed the shuttle launch to take place despite concerns voiced by NASA engineers. As one official described it later, the accident was a terrible example of the problems that can occur from a lack of clarity in the presentation of information. Now, much of what you're going to be writing, certainly in this course, is probably not going to be life and death, but the principles still apply. So good technical writing is clear, concise, correct, consistent, and collegial. But also, very important, is that it is fit for the audience and purpose. And these are the principles that we're going to be exploring in this course. Now, just to lighten the mood and take that example a little further, we've got the average person. Notice average is in inverted commas there. Whenever I look into your eyes, I realize just how much I love you. So this is what the average person says. Whereas if a psychologist said something like this, whenever I look into your eyes, I know that from my perspective, I share with you a strong interpersonal passion or enthusiasm, statistically related at 0.05 or better to increased levels of self-disclosing behavior. What kind of reaction do you think the receiver of that message would get? Or the scientist. So whenever I look into your eyes, I observe an emotional quality that can exhibit adhesive or divisive properties or functions in response to outside stimuli in interhuman social structures. Yeah, it's not exactly the romantic. And then there's this guy. So technical writing, it's all about communicating complex information, often in the form of reports, but not always, to a range of audiences for specific purposes, and that's the key of this course. It uses visuals, so figures, tables, graphs, diagrams, photographs, equations, etc. to support the writing, and there are many conventions, and we're going to be exploring some of those. So common types of reports include lab reports, recommendation reports, research reports, environmental reports, annual business reports, progress reports, and so on. And there are many other types. We're going to be looking at the first two, lab reports and recommendation reports, and one other assessment. Now the structure of these reports can vary, but they may include some or all of these things, so a title page, an abstract or executive summary, table of contents, list of figures and tables, list of symbols and definitions, and then we get into the main part of the report, so with the introduction, the main sections and subsections and conclusions, and they often have recommendations and are followed by references and appendices. So appendices are extra information that couldn't be included in the body of the report. So here's a few examples. So this one is a report by WWF and AMCS to UNESCO about the Great Barrier Reef. So you can see at the top of the page it has table of contents, and there is a summary there, summary of the whole text. And then we have numbered headings and subheadings here. and they make up the body of the report. There are some references and finally some appendices, and they're listed there. And page numbers are listed down the right-hand side. This is a report by the Department of Education on teaching reading. So again, heading at the top of the page. And then we have this preliminary information, background, terms of reference, preface. There's that summary again. And then we have the headings and subheadings, and they're numbered. And then we have some references at the end with appendices that follow. And here's a report by Ergon Energy into the emerging distribution network limitations in the St. George area. So again, same sort of features, table of contents, summary at the beginning, introduction, some background information, then we get into the headings and subheadings that constitute the bulk of the report, and finally some final decision and recommendation. So you can see that all of these reports have some things in common. They generally have preliminary pages, the body of the report, broken into headings with subheadings, and then recommendations at the end, and then appendices that follow with page numbers listed down the right hand side. So to summarize, this course is all about helping you to learn to write for science and technology courses at university, and writing is one of the main ways that students are assessed, so certainly an important thing to learn. But not only that, it also gives you valuable skills to use as professionals, because writing and good communication skills are a key part of almost any profession. So it's something that's prized by employers. Okay, so the course requirements: you will need the study guide, the Harvard referencing guide, and regular access to Moodle. So at least a few times a week checking out things. Total time commitment is 10 to 12 hours per week, and that's average for an undergraduate course. So it's good to get into the habit of making sure that you get those hours in each week. And a full schedule of the course is available in the course profile on Nexus, and you can access that from Moodle. Now, if you have any questions, you can talk to other students, so use the forums for that. You can also contact the lecturers via the Moodle forums. Now, if there's anything sensitive, you can email us, or if there's anything urgent, feel free to give us a call. Okay, so that's it for the introduction to technical writing for university. I wish you all the best with your studies, and I look forward to seeing you online soon. Bye for now.